Hey YouTube universe, hope everyone is doing well right now. Wherever you are, I want to wish all the BC fathers happy Father's Day. May you have a peaceful and a blessed one in this 2020. This is going to be my contribution to the thread that Beth at B-Side Records started. Gimme 10. I'm going to do a little twist to this thread. If you've been following my channel for a while, almost a year that I've had this channel, you know that last year it was a challenging time for my family. Half of last year my father was in the hospital, so I had many trips to the hospitals, and you know, some conversations with my father during his stay there. During that whole process, I was prompted to film a couple of videos. I'll put a link below. One of them was concerning the healing of music, and another one was a reflection of fatherhood. For this video, I'm gonna focus on a few conversations that I had with my father. Just being there, I kind of wanted to ask him some questions that I had never asked before relating to music, and I'm going to share it with you guys in this video. First questions I asked my father was, what is your favorite band? My father's favorite band is Pink Floyd, which happens to be also my favorite band. So he definitely passed down similar taste in music to me. I asked him, second question, what is your favorite Pink Floyd song?
You gotta be crazy.
He said it was Dogs. And another question, I asked him, what was the first album that you bought? He said, Dark Side of the Moon. Next question I asked is, to give you a little bit of history of my family. My father was born in El Salvador, and he was part of the Civil War. He was in the army, and long story short, he ended up migrating to Mexico, where he met my mother and ended up getting married. So I asked him, what was the first record you bought in Mexico? And he said the first record he bought in Mexico was a Foreigner record. So I have some Foreigner records here, and I definitely remember my father having these on tape. I know he had records, and he left a whole collection in Mexico once we moved out here to the US. So I definitely remember the music that my father was listening to as I was younger. I remember seeing lots of tapes. So I asked my father, what was the favorite song, your favorite Foreigner song? And he pretty much loves every Foreigner song that he's heard. Next question I asked was, what was the first CD you bought in the US? And the first CD that my father bought was Pink Floyd. It was actually the first album that he also bought, which was on cassette. One of the interesting things that my father did, which I really love, and I don't know why I didn't pick up on the habit, was that every time he picked up an album or a record or a CD, he always put the date on there. So if you can see this one, he bought this tape in 1993. And he would do that to every album, every piece of music that he ever bought. Times that we've traveled across country, he's picked up albums or CDs. The first things he does when he opens the shrink is go ahead and put the date on it. maybe it's something I should start doing with my albums. The next question I asked my father was, what is your favorite Spanish band? And his favorite Spanish band is Maná. And I used to have a couple of CDs and I couldn't find them. I also asked him, what are your favorite Maná songs? And he gave me a couple. One of them is El Muelle de San Blas, which if I can, I'll try to put some snippets of those songs here. El Muelle de San Blas has a lot of history behind that song. It's definitely one of the Spanish rock songs, classic of all time. But he also said Vivir sin aire, living without air. So that's the other. A couple of things that I remember from my father growing up. I remember we bought this CD. This was Warren G. Regulate G-Funk era. This was a classic of the 90s. I remember we bought not this particular CD, but we bought this album at the warehouse. If you guys remember those record stores. One of the things that my dad was cool about it is that he was always interested in what kind of music we were listening to, and he even enjoyed some of the music that we enjoyed. I always thought that was interesting, because most of the fathers you see on media or movies, and even some friends that I've had, their parents disliked their music. So that was interesting about my father. Another thing that I remember from my father is going out to buy an album. And the album that we went to go buy in the 90s was this album, which was a big hit. It is the first anthology album from the Beatles that was released. I remember we all went as a family to go ahead and buy this tape at Best Buy, and there were so many people there. I don't even remember. We even had to make line to buy this tape, and this is actually the tape that we went to go buy as a family. And as I told you guys, he put the date on everything that he bought, and the date on here is November 22nd, 1995. I believe that was 2 days after this was released. So the week of this was released, we went to go buy it. Must have been his day off. Must have been on Tuesday, because he was off on Tuesdays when we were younger. So definitely remember, went to go buy this as a family, and we came back home and listened to it. So that was definitely a great memory. And I want to end by saying Happy Father's Day to everyone out there, and also just remembering two quotes that my father always said to me. One of the things that he said to me is, when you do a favor for someone, do it and forget about it. But when someone does a favor for you, never forget it. And that quote has stayed with me for the rest of my life since he said that to me. And another thing that he has always said to me is, my father's a very positive guy. He would always remind me that everything will turn out okay. Blessings to you. God bless you. Be in peace with yourself. Be in peace with others. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the next one.